Lena and Jake met on a rainy evening at a coffee shop. She was sitting by the window, watching the raindrops race each other down the glass, lost in thought. Jake, drenched from the downpour, stepped in, looking for a place to dry off. He noticed her immediately, not because of her beauty, but because of the way she seemed detached from the world, like she was carrying a weight no one else could see. They exchanged polite smiles, and after a few moments of awkward silence, he asked if he could sit. That was how it started, the conversation that led to laughter, late-night talks, and long walks. In the early days, it felt like fate. They were two broken souls finding comfort in each other. But Lena had a secret. A painful past she buried deep, something she couldn't share with Jake, not yet. Her last relationship had ended in betrayal, and the scars still ached. Jake, on the other hand, had always been the type to give his all in a relationship. But Lena's reluctance started to stir something in him, an insecurity he never felt before. As weeks passed, Lena's walls began to crack. She let Jake into her world, but only a little. She shared the memories of her ex, the heartbreak, and the lies. Jake was patient, but something changed in him. He became possessive, constantly asking where she was, who she was with, and why she wouldn't let him in completely. Lena, feeling suffocated, withdrew. She started to question whether Jake was really the person she needed. But Jake, consumed by his fears of losing her, pushed harder. The more he tried, the further Lena pulled away. She couldn't shake the feeling that maybe she wasn't ready for another love, that she didn't deserve it after all she had been through. One evening, after an argument that spiraled out of control, Lena broke it off. She needed space to breathe, to heal. Jake, heartbroken and confused, didn't understand. He begged her to stay, promising he'd change, but Lena's mind was made up. Months went by. Jake couldn't move on. He kept track of her life through social media, watching her smile in photos with friends, but never knowing if she truly smiled. Lena, on the other hand, tried to find herself again. She traveled, met new people, and started to heal, but the pain of losing Jake lingered in her heart. During this time, Lena met someone new. He was kind, understanding, and patient in ways Jake hadn't been. He offered her the security she craved, a love that seemed safe but lacked the depth she had once felt with Jake. Still, Lena couldn't forget Jake entirely, but the man she was now seeing brought a comfort she didn't want to lose. Jake, meanwhile, tried to move on as well. But every time he thought about opening his heart to someone new, Lena's face appeared. He started dating, but the relationships felt shallow. His heart was still tied to her, to their love, and to the mistakes he had made. One day, out of nowhere, Lena reached out. She told Jake that she missed him. He was overjoyed, but also cautious. He had changed in ways he couldn't explain. He had learned to let go, or so he thought. They met at the same coffee shop where they first met, and the air between them was thick with unspoken words. They talked about their time apart, the things they had learned, and the people they had become. Jake had grown, but so had Lena. She was no longer the broken girl who sought comfort in someone else. She had become stronger, more independent, but as they talked, it became clear that the love they had shared wasn't enough to mend the damage their time apart had caused. Jake still had insecurities, and Lena still had doubts. They tried, really tried, but the weight of the past was too heavy to ignore. After a few months of trying to rekindle what once was, they both realized it wasn't the same. They were different people now, hurt, scarred, and not sure they could love each other the way they once had. They had learned their lessons, but the wounds were too deep. Love was no longer enough to fix what had broken inside them. Lena, in her heart, knew that she needed to move on for her own happiness, even if it meant carrying the hurt with her forever. Jake, though devastated, understood. They said goodbye, this time with no promises, no hopes of reconnect. They left that coffee shop for the last time, both feeling a sense of loss, but also a quiet peace. Years passed. Jake married someone else. Someone who brought him peace, but never quite healed the pain of losing Lena. Lena moved forward as well, building a life she was proud of, though a part of her always wondered about the love they had shared. They occasionally bumped into each other, years later, in different places. Every time, their eyes would meet, and for a brief moment, the old spark would flicker. But neither of them reached out. They had both moved on, and that's what they needed to do. They both knew, deep down, that their love was real, but it wasn't enough to overcome the mistakes they made. They had loved irrationally, held on too tightly, and pushed each other away. They were forever changed, but they had learned. In the end, their story wasn't a fairy tale, but a lesson in growth, letting go, and understanding that sometimes, the greatest love you can give someone is the freedom to heal.
Please subscribe, like, comment and share this video. It means a lot to us. Thank you.